music.
As it says in the title, today I'm going to teach you how I paint some of my orc skin. Lucky for us, there are many ways to accomplish this. Full disclosure, I'll be using an airbrush to complete this painting tutorial. I'm not saying you have to, I'm just saying I am. First off, we start by priming the model black. This is just to establish our darkest shades. We then apply a zenithal highlight of white from above. We're going to use this as a map later to establish where the highlights are in the future. Then we base coat with Caliban green, or alternatively these colors. I have this thinned down to the consistency of skim milk for the purposes of using the airbrush, and I'm running it at about 20 psi throughout the entire paint project. You'll notice throughout this tutorial that there are other orc models sprinkled throughout. That's just because of extra paint and because I can't stay in frame. Up next, Skarsnik green. I apply this on the model at a 45-degree angle while doing my best to keep the dark Caliban green still in the recesses. Do your best not to flood the model with paint. Use a lower PSI, shoot in bursts, and do 2 thin coats over the skin. Next up, Ushabti Bone, and we'll be using this as a zenithal straight down onto the model to establish the brightest areas of skin. Now I say straight down, but you see me pivoting the model. What I'm doing is I'm looking for areas that I think would be most caught by the light, and I'm giving them a burst. Remember, our points of interest when we're painting are going to be the face, the weapons, base, and the shield. But for the purposes of this tutorial, we'll just be working on the skin. As I pivot the model around, you can see that I've worked up pretty healthy transitions between the colors. This is all done just using an airbrush. Next up, Chthonian Camo Shade. Now we're going to apply this to the model, making sure that we get into all the recesses, but I also am keeping a small amount of thinner in a pot, and every time you see me pull my brush away, I'm actually filling my brush with that thinner to work over the flat areas as to prevent buildup over it. Next, we're going to give our orc skin a touch of life using some Cadian flesh tone. Apply this to the areas on the model where the skin would be stretched out. The elbows, the jaw, maybe even some pectoral muscles depending upon the sculpt. I also like doing this to the knuckles, just for the sake of color interest. Finally, we're going to use streaking grime through the airbrush pretty heavily. And apparently I never actually hit record when I started using the streaking grime. So You use the streaking grime through the airbrush, you allow it to dry, cover up and obscure pretty much all of the detail. It takes about 30 minutes to dry. Then you're going to come back through with I use a cheapo synthetic brush and mineral spirits. And you're going to go through and you're going to wipe it off of larger surfaces, and you're going to allow that to pool up in the recesses. And you're going to find that you have a lot more control than you would your standard acrylic wash. And there you have it, after we hit some of the details with some paint and allow that streaking grime to fully cure and then be removed with the mineral spirits, we're left with the finished product. That's all for this video. Thanks for watching. If you like what you see, like, comment, and maybe even subscribe. Thanks.